Let's talk about how to receive clear messages from your spirit guides. And I'm going to be showing you how to do this in the 5 C's. I'm Whitney McNeil. I'm a certified medium, and I love helping you be able to understand your intuition, your spiritual abilities, and even your mediumship, and how to really communicate with your spirit guides. So, the first really important C is going to be clarity. Who the heck are your spirit guides, and who are you talking to? So, your spirit guides are not angels and they're not your loved ones in spirit. While loved ones in spirit and angels exist and they are definitely important and helpful, they're not actually your spirit guides. Your spirit guides, most of the time, have lived an earth plane life before, so they have real world experience and they're drawn to you and similar to you based on your talents, your abilities, and your vibration rate. So it is easier to communicate and to talk, and it makes the right fit. For an example, if you are an artist, it wouldn't really make sense to have a spirit guide who used to do mechanical type things. That doesn't necessarily make the best relationship with a spirit guide because that spirit guide doesn't really have a lot to share with you when it comes to your art. Also, a loved one in spirit, so let's say somebody who's passed over who you were close to, and they might know you well, but they can't be objective. They're going to be subjective. So, your spirit guides, part of their roles and duties are to make sure that you learn lessons and that you need to grow. And that sometimes means you've got to go through something that isn't necessarily fun. Of course, your spirit guides are going to help steer you and guide you away from things that you don't need to experience. But there's certain things that spirit feels it's important for you so that you can grow your vibration, learn lessons, and come from a better place. We've all had that experience in our lives where we're like, oh, I've been through that. And then you get to give somebody else really helpful tips or advice, and it makes you a stronger person that has more experience, knowledge, and wisdom. Now, your, let's say, grandmother who's crossed over into spirit might say, I don't know, does Whitney really have to, experience this? My spirit guides know, yes. You have many different spirit guides, but generally speaking, you have 2 to 3 main ones that help you with guiding you to the right people, to help teaching you lessons. So this can be teaching through right now, you watching this video, you're learning something. So you've been guided, and your teacher guide might have just kind of given you some hunches to watch this video. That can be you're learning something from me. Also, in the astral plane, your teacher guide can help take you into this astral state, which a lot of people think are dreaming, but in fact, it's astral travel where you're learning something there too. And then you also have protector guides. Now, when you start working with your intuition, especially my students, they get additional guides for intuition and guides for mediumship, etc., etc. But everybody generally has 2 to 3 personal spirit guides. So now you have a little bit more clarity. But one of the questions come up quite often, hey, do I need to know their names? Nope, you don't. Now, if they want to give you their names, that's fine, but don't get hung up on it because that's more of an earth plane thing. And so you could just say, hey, thank you, my spirit guides. That's completely fine. The more that you work with intuition, you can get more detailed, but it is not necessary. You can even ask your spirit guides if they have a certain color, a certain smell, a certain feeling that you can experience when you know that they are around. But to get to the actual communication piece, another C is consistency. You've got to be consistent to communicate with your guides. If you have that friend that, you just keep delaying calling because you haven't talked to them in a year, and you know that when you do have that conversation, it's going to be a long one because you've got to catch up on everything, that would be similar to your spirit guides. But also, your spirit guides are around you a lot. And if they're trying to communicate with you, but you're not communicating with them, that would be really frustrating, right? So if you had an assistant that was hanging around and kept trying to help you, but you never gave your assistant any kind of feedback, at some point, that assistant is going to just try and do their best, but might not understand the nuances and the details of what you're trying to create, what you need help with, etc. So, consistency is really important to get on the same page with your spirit guides. So, that means let's do some communication with them every day. If you're like, that sounds challenging, and I told you, well, it only takes like 5 minutes a day. Can you do that? I hope that you would say yes. That's okay if you skip a day or so. Just be consistent in whatever that is. You might want to pick a time in your day, or you might want to attach your communicating with your guides to a consistent event in your day. So maybe you're like, I don't eat dinner every single day at the same time. I just kind of eat when I'm hungry. Then talk to your spirit guides, let's say every day after dinner, whatever that is, or every night before you go to bed, or every day after you wake up, or after you brush your teeth. You kind of get the point, right? So take some time and be consistent when it comes to communication so that you can get on the same page. And I hear a lot of times people say, well, Whitney, I mean, they just know what I need, right? No, they will do their best and know that you have certain things that you've contracted to learn. But if you're asking for help with a new job and you actually don't ever ask it, then they might say, well, we're just going to help you stay in this current position because we think that you'll feel safer without taking any risk to change. But if you know in your heart that you want to take a risk to change, then you have to tell them, I have been there. I understand. So I'm telling you from my real world experience, it's important to communicate. Which brings me to the third C, communication. A lot of times when we talk about spirit communication, people think that means you receiving messages from your spirit guides. Yeah, that's part of it. But communication is a two-way street. That means you have to communicate to them, not just receive from them. So that's what I'm talking about when I say communication. You have to share with them what you would like their help with. And sometimes from my students, people say, I don't know what I need help with. So I'm going to give you some examples. Let's say that you are in a relationship and you would like better communication in the relationship, or you would like a different way to communicate something to your partner. You could ask your spirit guides, hey, I'd really like some better communication. What can I do to help that along? That's an example of how you could tell them, and then you're asking. And then, of course, the next step is to receive, but you have to do your part to tell them what you need help with. Same for job. And maybe you're saying, what is the best job for me right now? You can ask that question, but what would even be better if you were to tell your spirit guides, I really enjoy, and then list all the things that you would like to do. Maybe it's to create, maybe it's to help other people, maybe it is to help people in groups, maybe it is to help people one on one. Get specific and then say, I would really like for you to help me in creating an opportunity for XYZ job change or for finding a new aligned career. Whatever it is, you've got to communicate what it is. So maybe it's your health. Maybe you're saying, gosh, I'm feeling a little off lately, and get specific with how you feel. And then tell your spirit guides or ask them, could you please help me with more balance? Could you please help me with sleeping better? What can I do? What are my next steps for that? And so they may respond with guiding you to a specific medical professional, to a specific video, giving you an intuitive impression of maybe something that would be helpful in eating or to research, etc. So make sure that you are specific with your communication with what you need help with, and also, it's nice to be thanked. So thank your spirit guides for showing up, for being there, that kind of stuff. You can even ask them what you can do better to hear, see, feel, or know their messages more clearly. Now we're going to move on to the next C, which is clearing. This is the most important part of any kind of spirit communication. It's clearing your mind. If you are thinking about all the things on your to-do list when you're trying to get a message from your spirit guides, it's going to be hard. And a lot of times people say, well, they'll just tell me when I need to know. I said that earlier. But this also relates to the timing. If you're driving, if you are in the grocery store shopping, that's not an ideal time to get spirit messages. If you're trying to have quality time with a person that you're close to and you just really want to be present and be in conversation, not a great time to have a spirit guide message. It's important to establish that routine of consistency, but also it's important to clear your mind. If you're thinking about all the things and you're so focused on whatever's going on right in front of you, it's going to be hard to establish, was that a spirit message or was that my own mind making it up? So you've got to clear your mind. And there's many ways to clear your mind. One great way is to do a walking meditation, and that can help to clear your mind. It can look like pacing back and forth. But let's be honest, when you're communicating with your guides, you're probably not going to want to be physically active. So you can just take a few moments and clear your mind. Imagine that all of the stuff that you're thinking about goes into a box. Place that box in your mind outside of the door. And then you can promise yourself you'll pick up on this a little bit later. I have a video on clearing your mind that I'll link to below if you want something a little bit more detailed and longer. But it's really important to just give yourself permission to not think. The more that you're thinking, the less you're going to get from spirit. But honestly, if they give you the message, you're not going to know it's a message because you're doing and juggling all these other things around in your mind. And finally, it's the receiving from spirit that I really know that you want to talk about. So I've given you some parameters on who you want to talk to, when you want to talk. And that's important because the more that you create this boundary around this is my time to communicate with spirit, the easier it will be to receive. Also, communication with your guides so that they can give you clear messages back. So if you're asking questions to your guides, you can get that message in easier. They can give you more details, and clearing your mind. And so the last C is the clairs. And this is about receiving spirit communication. So I like to call them something a little different. The first clair that a lot of people talk about is clairvoyance, where you are seeing messages from spirit. And this can look like spirit orbs, colors. When you close your eyes and you go into a relaxed state, you might see images. You might see visualizations, you might see numbers, you might see people. You can also get these messages with your eyes open, just kind of relaxed as well. But spirit can communicate with you in this way. And you can ask your spirit guides a question, and they may show you through this way. And this is an intuitive language. And so I reference people that have clairvoyance as seers because their primary way that they experience intuitive messages from their guides is through sight. And this can be through the closed eyes or, again, open, just in a soft gaze. Understanding the way spirit shows these symbols to you can be really helpful. So, an example, when I was communicating with my spirit guides and I started to do readings for others, I remembered this symbol and I got 2 plus 2 equals 4. I could not sit there and analyze that symbol because I would have been really wrong. What's important is when you get symbols or colors or imagery, you just ask your spirit guides, what does this mean? And allow that meaning to come to you. So, in my example, I was giving a reading for somebody, and I said, I want to talk about your household and your living environment. And I got 2 plus 2 equals 4. I could have sat there and tried to figure out what it meant, and I would have been so wrong. And so I just asked my guides, what does this mean? And the message was, oh, there's 4 of you in the house. And so there's one couple and there's another couple, and you all are living together in the house. There's 4 of you. And she was like, yes, how did you know that? And that's the really cool thing about your spirit guides. They will give you a symbol, they will give you a color, a meaning, and your job is to just receive. And the more that you can be in a grounded, relaxed place, the easier it will be to understand the messages. And another C here is the clairaudience, right? Is a clairaudient way to get messages. And so this is going to be through hearing messages from your spirit guides. 9 times out of 10, this is going to sound like your own inner reading voice. It's going to sound like you're making it up in your mind. And in fact, that's what a lot of clairaudient people tell me. They're like, I didn't hear it like another person's voice. I heard it as my own voice. How do I know if that's real or not? And the way to know if it's real is to make sure your mind is clear and understand that the more that you practice these exercises, then you start to see, oh, well, what I got really did happen, or that was really valid information. But there is sometimes but also, sometimes you might hear messages that don't sound like your voice, and that can be your spirit guides as well. Most of the time, it's going to be your own inner reading voice. And the best, so I call people with clairaudience owls because they hear. That's something that might be your primary intuitive language. But fun fact, actually, clairaudience is the most rare for it to be a primary way that you get the messages coming in. I find that a lot of people have a mix of the different messages. I find that a lot of people have a mix of different ways that it comes in for them. Now, another way is through clairsentience, so clear feeling. And I call people that have this empaths, that they feel information. So this can be, I have a gut feeling of a yes or a no, or maybe they start to feel cold or they start to feel tingles when it's a yes or like a when it's a no. And also, you might find that you feel emotions too. And so that can be coming in from your spirit guides to help you. But if you have this ability, you might find yourself feeling other people's energy just out and about in your day. So it's really important that you have some aura protection as well. And one of the best questions you can ask yourself if you're kind of questioning, you could say, is this my stuff or somebody else's stuff? Is this my stuff or somebody else's stuff? And then see what reaction you get if it's a yes to, is this my stuff? Or a no to, is this my stuff? This will be helpful for you moving forward. And then also my channelers. So this is people who have claircognizance, and this is one of the most misunderstood ways for spirit communication. People who only have claircognizance think there's something wrong or that they're not getting any messages at all because they don't feel, they don't hear, they don't see. And feeling, seeing, hearing, it's like it's easier for you because it's almost external. I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm feeling. So cognizance is a knowing, and so it feels like it just comes in from you. So another way to describe this would be an instinctual reaction. If your body so people with claircognizance will get intuitive thoughts. They will just get inspired. Oh my gosh, I just had this thought about how Kathy's doing, and then Kathy calls you. Oh my gosh, I just feel like I need to research XYZ. And then you find, oh, the concert I just researched, that's coming to my area next month. Or something like that. It's about your instinct, your inspiration, and your body often takes action before you've even had any kind of clue about what's going on. So, people who have claircognizance and who are channelers will oftentimes just start talking and they don't know exactly what they're saying. It's like they have no filter sometimes. So, if you've ever been in a store and you just started to talk to this random person in the checkout line, and that person's like, wow, that was really helpful. And you're thinking, I don't know what I said, but I'm really glad it was. Or you're in conversation with somebody and a lot of stuff comes out and you're like, I don't know where that came from. That is part of the clear, cognizant, intuitive language. The same can happen with typing and writing. Stuff just flows through you. So maybe you're responding to somebody on social media and you're like, oh, that was really cool. Or maybe you have the ability to write beautiful poetry or lyrics and it just kind of flows out of you and you don't know where it came from. That's really an indication that that's more of that channeler within you that's coming out. And pay attention to your body. Does your body feel weighted down or are you full of energy? So if you're really tired, a lot of the times you will feel like, you know, I just can't go to that event. I'm so tired. And that can be an intrinsic response because it's intuitive. Or if you're like, oh yeah, I am so excited about XYZ, that can be an intrinsic response as well. So those are all of the C's and all of the best ways that I can share with you on how to get clear messages from your spirit guides. And that's really important. All of these are a great recipe for you to practice over and over. So many times people want clear messages now, which is great. But with anything, we have to practice and we have to make room for a new skill. So think about that as you're moving forwards. Check the links below for some If you want to learn more about your intuitive language, check the links below for a quiz that will help guide you into your primary intuitive language. And I also have some other helpful resources below as well. Let me know how these conversations go for you when you're Let me know how these conversations go for you when you're communicating with your spirit guides. I look forward to seeing how these Let me know how these conversations go when you're communicating with your spirit guides. I look forward to hearing more about it.